What's up, Top 10 fam? Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video. Now, it's no surprise that military bases past and present contain a lot of death within their walls. And where there is death, there's the possibility of ghosts, unsettled spirits, and all around chaos. So with that being said, these are the top 10 scary paranormal encounters reported by the military. And believe me, you're gonna want to stick around for this one. Starting us off at number 10 is Okinawa Part 1. Now, if you were asleep during your high school history lessons, not to worry, because here I am with a quick Spark Notes version. So during World War II, Okinawa, Japan was an area where a lot of took place. Can you just imagine if your history teacher taught like that? Like, you know, World War II happened, things went tits up, on to the next historic event. Can you imagine? No, I really hope your teacher didn't teach like that. Either way, the area had many military bases, more than half were American and the rest were all Japanese. And the base was so haunted that American troops used to even host ghost tours during Halloween. But one place in particular is meant to be known for its ghostly events, and that is Gate 3 in Camp Hansen. Soldiers that have guarded that gate have all reported seeing a man covered in blood and bandages struggle to walk towards them and ask for help. But once the soldiers talk to him, he's known to smile and vanish into thin air, and speculation claims that he was one particular soldier that got shot as he was running back to the base. He just didn't make it back in time. Now, soldiers have been so hesitant to guard the gate that it was actually closed down due to the lack of willing personnel wanting to guard it. But wait, it gets worse. Coming in at number 9 is Okinawa Part 2. I really wasn't lying when I said a lot of went down there. Now, among the many military bases in the area, there were also a few Air Force bases, and Building 2283 of Okinawa's Kadena Air Force is the place in question right now. Despite it having been demolished ages ago, it's still one of the most haunted buildings in the country, and the backstory of it is pretty screwed up. Now, back in the 70s, a serviceman working in the building had a mental breakdown and snapped and then killed his entire family. After that point, any soldier that spent time there or even a night there just couldn't do it. When workers tried to tear down the building, they all fell suspiciously ill after claiming to have seen a ghostly woman washing her hair in a sink that clearly hadn't been working for decades. While near the building, everyone also feels this huge sense of unease and overwhelming sadness. Dude, that's nothing. If you say that to anyone with depression, they'll be like, haha, story of my life, bro. Hashtag me. But anyway, the cherry on top is the fact that there's now a daycare next to where the building used to be, and teachers constantly complain about the kids throwing their toys over the fence because the children on the other side ask them for the toys. There are no children on the other side. That's the catch here. The ghosts. At number 8, we have the Jefferson Barracks Badass, and yeah, that really is what people call him. Located in Missouri, the Jefferson Barracks is one of the most haunted military bases in the world. And I'm not even surprised considering how much death has taken place there. I mean, it used to be a military hospital, then it was a graveyard, and it was even a military staging area at one point. So there's a lot going on here. Either way, over the years, countless soldiers have been stationed there, and many have left their posts completely because of one specific ghost. The barracks ghost was a guard who was shot in the head during a munitions raid. He's extremely aggressive, like straight up just out to get you, and he actually challenges soldiers to fight him. Despite literally having a bullet in his head, he's out here just ready to square up, and soldiers are terrified of him. And if his presence isn't bad enough, the jail cells there are also haunted by disembodied voices, there's floating apparitions, and shadow people. Freaking great. Do they prepare you for that during training? Like, okay, your real human target is over there, but always watch your back for that freaking ghost who could get you too. Haha, out you go. No. Filling our number 7 slot are the Six Devils. Having taken place back in 1836, this is actually one of the first ever military ghost encounters ever reported. General Juan Jose Andrade sent a group of troops to burn the soldiers that had died at the Alamo. Hours later, when the men returned, they were pale and shaken up and refused to go near the Alamo ever again. Now, they claimed it was guarded by 6 devils and that burning the bodies felt like being in hell itself, which is a pretty bold statement. People who have gone there since have reported seeing boys walking around in period clothing and hearing hooves on the ground when clearly there are no horses around. And not even including the war deaths that took place there have been multiple suicides in the area as well. Other people have claimed seeing a man and young boy jumping off the Alamo mission to their death but then vanishing into thin air. Where did they go? Where did they come from? Cotton Eye Joe. Now at number 6 are the voices. This one's from Reddit user BloodSoup03, who said he was stationed in Iraq back in 2006 and it was his turn for guard duty. He was stationed in a massive compound area called Camp Baharia, in an area where Saddam Hussein's sons apparently raped and tortured women. Apparently, it's not confirmed. Now the guard tower he was in was 2 stories high and you had to use this metal spiral staircase to get up there. One night, halfway through his post, him and his friends suddenly heard this loud pair of footsteps sprinting up the stairs. Taken off guard, both of them grabbed their helmets, got their weapons ready, and waited. After a few minutes, he went around the corner to find absolutely no one. Now he made his way downstairs and outside the tower to make sure no one was around, and no one was. There wasn't even any new vehicle outside that could have brought someone, and they didn't understand how they didn't see the person approach or even hear them open the tower door. It just wasn't making sense. Either way, he went back up to his partner, who was pale as hell, looking like he'd seen the devil himself. He asked the user what all the commotion was about and where the woman was. The user was like, "What are you talking about? What woman?" His comrade replied saying when he had gone downstairs he had heard a scuffle between the user and a woman and heard a blood-curdling scream for help and then silence. The user went white and was like, "I didn't hear any of that. I didn't even see a woman." So could it have been one of those women that Saddam Hussein's sons raped and tortured? Who knows? Possibly. Possibly. Coming in at number 5 is Brother Bear. So this story is actually from World War I veteran Will Bird's memoir, Ghosts Have Warm Hands. Now Will's brother was a war veteran as well who had died 2 years before he wrote the book. In this one, Bird said he was napping in a sheltered area when he suddenly woke up and saw the ghost of his brother Steve smiling down at him. He said Steve smiled at him and put his hands over his mouth as Will started screaming out of joy. What a nice story. This one does have a happy ending, don't worry guys. Now he then told Will to get his gear and follow him. 5 minutes later, at a new spot, Will saw the place he was napping beforehand be blown to pieces by enemy fire. So despite being dead, Steve's ghost saved Will's life, and that's a true MVP brother if I ever saw one. Like, hello, Steve, you're doing great, sweetie. At number 4 is Hellman's Observation Point Rock. Locals and soldiers in Afghanistan alike believe the area is cursed and haunted by tragedies of the past. When Russia occupied Afghanistan, Point Rock was the place where Russian soldiers were executed by Afghani Mujahideen. And ever since then, when Marines are posted there, they have reported hearing voices speaking in Russian time and time again, even though there are never any Russians in the area. Lance Corporal said the place sucks and that you could stick a shovel in any part of the area and you'd come up with bones. And it's not just Russian afterlife that the troops are scared of. Guards there have dealt with the voices of people crying, phantom gunfire, lights that appear and disappear with no source, and a little ghost girl that tries to lure troops into an isolated area to help her. And God knows what she does with them after that. I do have a few ideas. They're not nice. Don't follow that girl. Filling our number 3 slot are the eyes. This one's from Redditor Mace Windex, who was stationed at Fort Carson in 2015 during the Warhorse Strike. He said it was the last day of a 2-week field problem and all the troops were pretty tired, wanting cigarettes or coffee or something, and just ready to get the hell out of there. That night they arranged a tactical movement to Gate 20 to secure a target. As they went off, the user was at the back of the line to make sure no one got left behind. They were in this valley and at the bottom of it there was a stream, and as soon as they crossed the stream, this disgusting stench just hit them. And it wasn't a skunk, a lot worse, the user said it could only be associated with the odor of meat gone bad. And it wasn't uncommon to find dead animals in the area, but since they'd been training there for 2 weeks, they would have found whatever it was already, and with the pungency of the smell, they wouldn't have ignored it, and I quote, "It was like some advanced decomposition." I feel like that's something I'd say. Either way, the user went on to say he usually liked being alone on his patrols and had been followed in the past. And when you get that gut feeling you're being watched, you just know. The user decided to look back around them just to make sure, and through his night vision he saw a pair of gleaming eyes in the trees. But as soon as he saw the first pair, he saw another, and it was standing at like 7 feet tall. So what the hell did those eyes even belong to? The user freaked out, but none of the troops had any live ammo, so they couldn't investigate, so they just got the F out of there ASAP Rocky. As would anyone. I would do the same. I wouldn't be there to begin with. That was a rough one. That was a rough one, not gonna lie guys. Now at number 2 is the sailor. This one's from Reddit user Isa, who was a newly reported sailor, and this happened while he was in the engine room of a submarine while on mid-watch. The engine room lower level of the submarine had many narrow passages throughout it, and all of them passed through the center. He came down one of the ladders and saw someone 15 feet in front of him walk and then turn the corner. And he was 100% sure he saw him. I mean, he'd heard his footsteps, he saw the back of his head. It seemed pretty damn real. But there were problems with this sighting. Firstly, the person he saw was wearing utilities, which made no sense since utilities had been phased out of use 3 years prior. Secondly, there was only one other person awake at the time, and he was the one waiting at the top of the ladder for the user. Initially, he didn't want to mention the incident and blamed it on sleep deprivation, but 4 months later he got his closure. The user was out at sea on a different submarine with a fellow sailor who had served on his previous ship as well. The man told the user the story of a sailor who had committed suicide in engine room lower level in his utilities a decade beforehand. Great, don't we just love seeing dead sailors when we're new on the job? We love that. Love it. Great first day at work. And finally, at number 1 is the black smoke. So this story comes from Jerry Aberdeen, who was stationed at an air base in Afghanistan when this event took place. Military personnel were patrolling the area as always, and they all spotted a large group of angry people coming towards the base trying to ambush it. They started climbing the walls of the station, and all hands were called to defend the base. They opened fire and many people were killed, but one man who died let out something. Aberdeen said as soon as the man was shot and fell to the ground, this plume of black smoke started pouring out of him, and troops assumed it was a suicide vest that had malfunctioned. But the smoke wasn't disappearing, it was materializing into human form. The smoke person was now standing in front of these troops, and all of them remembered it having red glowing eyes and a weirdly deformed mouth. It smiled at the troops before turning around to run, but then sort of vanished into thin air after a few steps. The troops were shook, they had no idea what to think, what to feel. Should they be shooting at the smoke? Like it was just too much. It was all too much. And that's it for today's video, guys. I was actually pleasantly surprised by this list. I thought it was gonna be just full of the ghosts of soldiers, and I mean, like it was, but like only like 2 or 3 stories. And we all know I love a cheeky, juicy backstory, so I'm happy about that. Anyway, let me know what you thought in the comments below, and as always, I'm your host, Ayman Hassan, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!